Morning, everybody. Mr. Spottleson here. Today's Wednesday, April 15th. And we're going to move on to the second part of section 11.6. Okay, we're still working with all radical expressions, but we're going to look at a different method. The first time we did this, or on Monday when I introduced this with the video, we used the factor tree method. And some of you might like that factor tree method and use that factor method. I'm going to show you another method today that a lot of you might like as well. Okay, I think that this one that we're going to do today is a little bit faster, so it's kind of up to you as to which one you want to focus on and make sure you do. Okay. I'm not going to show you guys the homework yet. I still got a good amount of people that haven't done it yet this week, so I'm going to wait and maybe make a video or post the answers on Friday to that. So we're going to go ahead and just get started right with the second day of 11.6. All right. So we're still in radical expressions, like I said. Go ahead and label that, maybe title that, and then I want you to write this down. This square root of a times b equals square root of a times the square root of b. Okay, and I can show you a quick example of that to kind of help you out here. If we have the square root of, let's roll with, all right, messed all this up. Let's go with the square root of 20. Okay, if I do the square root of 20 here, and we think of, okay, this is a times b right here, so let's think of something that'll multiply it to get us 20. Now, here's the problem that a lot of people make. A lot of people make the problem of they think, okay, well, I know that 2 times 10 equals 20. Great. Okay, but in this situation, that actually doesn't help us in the problem at all. Okay, the reason that it doesn't help us is because we need a perfect square as one of these factors. We need 1, 2, 4, 9. We need 16. We need 25. We need 36. We need 49. We need 64. We need 81. We need 100. Okay, those are going to help us clean up these answers a lot more and simplify them. So 2 times 10 is not going to work in this situation. Okay, does anyone think of anything else that would multiply to get me 20 that I could do and that would work with the perfect square? I hope that you're noticing that 4 is a factor and we can use 4. Okay, because square root of 20 can be the same as 5 times 4. Okay, and then if I set this equal to each other, all right, I'm going to have square root of 5 times the square root of 4. Now, square root of 5 does not simplify at all. Okay, we can't simplify that one at all, but we can simplify square root of 4 to times 2. Okay, because 2 times 2 is 4. That's the square root. Now, and then we can rearrange this, and you have to rearrange this if this ends up like this. Is I'd like to put the 2 in front. Remember, multiplication, it's interchangeable. Square root of 5 times 2 is the same as 2 square root of 5. And we're just going to write it as 2 square root of 5. Okay. Now, I also want you to remember our calculator and what we did to check these, okay? You can always type in square root of 20. It's going to get you 4.4721. And then you can do 2 square root of 5, and you're still going to get the 4.4721. Okay, that's a good way to check those to make sure you get the same decimal when you're solving. Okay, let's look at another one. All right, we've got the square root of 12. Okay, what's going to multiply to get me 12 with one of them being a perfect square? Okay, I do the square root. 12, 6 and 2. 6 and 2 are both not perfect squares, so my other one will be 4 and 3. So 4 times 3. Okay, from there then, I would make that a little bit smaller. I would do the square root of 4. Remember that property we wrote down right here? Okay. A times B equals square root of A times square root of B. Okay, so in this case, I'll have square root of 4 times square root of 3. This will simplify to 2 square root of 3. Okay, not too bad. All right, let's move on. See if we got another one here. All right, 300. Okay, again, we got to think of things that will multiply to get us 300, with one of them being a perfect square. The one that comes to my mind right away is 100. Okay, so if I do the square root, I would have 100 times 3. If I break that up, we'd have square root of 10 times the square root of 3. Why did I put square root? Oh, that's good. Yep. Hey, no. What did I do wrong there? Oh, my. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Square root of 100 times the square root of 3. Then I can simplify, and I'm going to get 10 square root of 3. And that ends up being my answer there. Okay, and again, you can check using the using my method of 10 square root of 3 and then square root of 300 and seeing if you get the same decimal as you solve it. Okay. All right. Square root of 80 now is a little bit interesting. Okay. If we go ahead and we think of something that'll multiply to get us 80 with a square root, there's two different ones, but the one I'm going to pick, okay, is I'm going to do 20 and 4. Okay, so the square root of 80 equals 4 times 20. Okay, if I break that up, that's going to be square root of 2. Why do I keep getting ahead of myself there? I'm sorry. Square root of 4 times the square root of 20. Now, if I simplify, that becomes 2 square root of 20. Now, I'm not done. Okay, the reason that I'm not done yet is 20 is not completely simplified. I can do this same thing with 20 again. Okay, so how does that work? Well, we keep our 2. That 2 is going to be in front the whole time. Okay, that 2 is going to be in front the whole time, but instead of square root of 20, we're going to break that up to 4 times 5. And then if I break that up again, I'm going to have 2 square root of 4 times square root of 5. 2 or square root of 4 is 2, so 2 times 2, and then my 5 outside. And then we can simplify that, and my answer is going to be 4 square root of 5. Okay. Since there was another factor that was a square root in 20, I had to do it twice. Okay. And again, you can go back, type in square root of 80 into your calculator, type in 4 square root of 5, and you will get the same decimal. Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's start with 5 over 4. Now it says simplify, all variables represent non-negative numbers. Okay, so that means we're not going to have any plus or minus anywhere. Now, when it says simplify, the first thing I want you to do always, okay, is simplify fractions first. It'll make things a lot easier. Okay, now, in this case, 5 over 4 can't be simplified at all, so we're good. We don't have, there's nothing else we can do there. But Once we've got that simplified, then we can break this into square root of 5 divided by the square root of 4. Square root of 5 is not going to simplify at all. It's going to stay as just square root of 5. And then square root of 4 is going to be 2. So my answer again is going to be square radical 5 over 2. And you can check that answer by plugging it into your calculator and seeing that you get the same decimal. Okay. Moving on. All right, 12, square root of 12 over 7. Remember, the first thing I want you to do is make sure that our fractions are simplified. In this case, we have a common factor. We can divide both of these by 3. All right, so then this is going to become the square root or radical 4 over 9. Okay, square root of 4 over 9 then, it's simplified, so I can go ahead and put square root of 4 over square root of 9. Square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3. My answer ends up being 2/3. All right, pretty easy, I would say, at least this first part here. Okay, we've got 36x to the 4th. All right, there's nothing I can simplify in there, so I'm going to go with square root of 36 over the square root of 4. Okay, oops, didn't want that. Okay, we know that the square root of 36 is going to be 6. I don't know where this 4 came from. This is supposed to be x to the 4th. Missing all kinds of steps this morning. So square root of 36 is 6. And now we have square root of x to the 4th. Some of you might be past this part, but I want to show it. All right, square root of x to the 4th equals the square root of x times x times x times x. So if I circle these two and I circle these two, oops. I circle those two. We're going to bring those outside in pairs of 1. Remember, only half of them can leave or one of them can leave. So this would become x times x outside the square root, which would be x squared. So on my bottom here, I'm going to have x squared. 6 over x squared ends up being my answer. All right. Pretty straightforward. Excuse me. All right. Let's move on. All right, D. M to the 3rd over 9m. Okay. Now, in this case here, okay, the first thing we need to do is simplify. Okay. And you might say, well, Mr. Spot, there's nothing I can simplify. Well, if I have an m to the 3rd over an m right here, some of you might remember m times m over m. One of these cancel, and I'm end up with m times m, which is m squared. Or we've got m to the 3rd over m. That equals m3 minus 1, which is going to be m squared again. Okay. These can simplify, so I can end up with just m squared over 9. Okay. From there, then, that it's simplified, I can go ahead and write it as square root of m squared over square root of 9. Square root of m squared is just m, and square root of 9 is 3. My answer is going to be m over 3. All right. 108 divided by 25. Okay. You can go to your calculator here to try to simplify something, okay? Here's my thing that I would do, okay, is you can do the 108 and then the A, B over C button divided by 25. Does it simplify at all? It does not. It gives you 4 and 8/25. That's not going to help us simplified. 2 doesn't go into 25 and 5 doesn't go into 108 clean, so we know that it doesn't simplify that way. Okay, so we cannot simplify 108 over 25. So instead, we'll just write it as 108 over 25. Sorry, square root of 25. Okay, handwriting's getting kind of bad here. All right, we already know that the bottom of this is going to be just 5 because the square root of 25 is going to get us 5. But we've got to do something with the top here, okay? Square root of 108, we have to treat and simplify it similar to what we did up here with 12,380, okay? We've got to do the same thing there. So what we need to do is we need to find a factor. We need to find a factor of 108 that has a square root in it. So what I would do is I'd go up to your list of perfect squares that we wrote down. Okay, and I'd grab my calculator and I'd take 108, and I don't know, let's try 108 divided by 64. Nope, doesn't work, okay? 108 divided by 49. Nope, doesn't work. 108 divided by 36. Oh, that goes in clean, 36 and 3. Okay, so go back over to your problem now. We know that 36 times 3 is going to get us 108. So what I would do is I would scroll down. 108 is going to equal now square root of 36 times 3, which is going to equal the square root of 36 times the square root of 3, and then you're going to get 6 square root of 3. That is simplified square root of 108. So my answer now is going to be 6 square root of 3 over 5, or 6 radical 3 over 5. Okay. Got one more down here? We do. Okay. All right. For f, g, x to the third over 16. Okay, first thing we need to do is look to see if it can simplify at all. 9, 3 doesn't go into 16, 4 doesn't go into 9 clean, so that can't simplify at all. And there's no x's down here, so nope, doesn't simplify. So we're going to have square root of 9x to the third over square root of 16. Same thing we just talked about. Okay, I already know that my answer here is going to be 4 on the bottom. All right, and we need to do something with this 9, okay, or this 9 next to the third. Well, here's what we can do here. Okay, I would write it out. Okay, radical 9. Okay, if we do our factor tree, it's just going to be 3 times 3. So we're going to have 3 times 3 times x times x times x. Pair of 3s, pair of x's are going to go outside. So I'm going to have 3x on the outside. Can't stand when that happens. Oh, no, it's just going to freak out. Now we're just going to have 3x and then radical x on the bottom. Okay, so 9x to the third ends up then equaling 3x over x. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to write 3x square root of 3. Oh, square root of x. Sorry. I've just been messing up my words today. So we get 3x radical x over 4 as the simplified version of 9x to the third over 16. Okay, I think we're going to do one more here. Let me check. Let's see. We are going to do one more, and it's going to be h. Okay. Z to the fifth over 25y squared. There's nothing to simplify first, so we can't do that. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take z to the fifth over square root of 25y squared. All right, now if you can't catch on yet, okay, z to the fifth. So radical z to the fifth equals z times z times z times z times z. That's a pair and that's a pair. So I'm going to have z squared on the outside and radical z on the inside. So up top of my answer here, we're going to have z squared radical z. Okay, that's the top. And then if you haven't caught on yet on the bottom that this is going to be 5y, here's what we can do. Same thing. You can take, write an arrow down here. I keep pressing this button. No. All right. We can come down here and we can write out 25 is square root of 25y squared is going to be 5 times y times y. I've got a pair of 5s and a pair of y's, so both of those are going to come out, and the bottom of my answer is just going to be 5y. So we end up getting that there for my answer. Okay. All right. A lot of examples today. Okay. And I know that can get confusing at times. So if you have questions, please ask. There's a little assignment. I can guarantee that there will be a quiz at the end of next week. So we want to make sure we're understanding this. But it's really not that hard of math. You just kind of have to understand what to do and when to do it. Okay. And that's kind of the difficult part. Okay. So do this assignment, get it your best chance, and then ask questions. We can do a conference or something if you're a little confused. Okay. The assignment today is page 809, numbers 24 through 48 even. Okay. This assignment, along with the assignment for Monday, are both due on Friday at 11:59 p.m. Nobody wants to do this on Friday at 11:50 p.m. So make sure you get it done. All right. Thank you. Please ask questions if you have them. I will see you next time.